Hello, my name is Emmanuel. I'm an electrical and electronics engineering student. So I wish to share the little I've learned on capacitor. For me personally, memorizing and cramming is pretty difficult for me. So I kind of improvise ways to learn, and things that I can relate and how I can relate knowledge, like what I learn and how to relate them to other things that I know. So for capacitance, this is how I begin, you know. So for me, okay, fine. A capacitor stores charges, right? Okay. So the most the most basic thing for me is to realize that the charge that a capacitor stores is directly proportional to the voltage applied across it. That's the beginning for me. Then I know that Q is equal to CV, where C is the capacitance. Mathematically, you can call it the constant of proportionality. And we know that capacitance is the ability to store or the capacity to store charges or something like that. So I haven't arrived at this. There are other formulas that can be derived from here. So I don't even know those formulas. They are not in my head. What I did is just to understand, you know, the mathematics involved in it. And it's almost like a pathway for me. It's like different directions, like trying to find your location in a city or in a map or something like that. So we can get current from this formula. We can get current from this particular formula. We can get power. We can get work from this formula. So the first thing to do is current. And what is current? Current is the rate of change of sorry. Current is the movement of charges. So and it's with respect to time. So current for me is like the speed of electrons. That's how I see it. Like electrons in motion. Imagine a car in motion. Imagine a stream in motion, like water in a stream, or a stream of water rather. So for me personally, electrons is is a speeding. Sorry, current is a speeding charge, or current is what am I saying? So for me personally, how I see current is moving charges or um, charges that are speeding or they have velocity. That's how I see it. So if that be the case, I can use differentiation. So I would say that current is equal to dq over dt, and which is equal to d dt of cv. So I don't have to cram anything. Now, if I'm lucky, and which can be the case many times, C could remain a constant. And if that be the case, I can now say that I is equal to dq dt, which is equal to C dv dt. Now we have the relationship between current, capacitance, and voltage. Another thing I can do here, observe this aspect, this O aspect here. What do you see there? That is the rate at which. Oh, sorry, that's not the rate at which. Don't mind me, I made a mistake. I thought that was the I dt, which will be for inductance. That's something different entirely. So from here, we can even proceed further to get power. Okay, so let me erase this. Now we've arrived at the point where it is I equal to dq dt, which is equal to c dv dt. right? How can we get power here? Remember that power in electricity or electromagnetism is equal to current times voltage, right? So this is an expression for current, and what we simply then need to do is to substitute this equation here into this one, and that will be in bracket C dv divided by dt v, and then I can simplify it further, and it becomes cv dv dt, right? So I don't cram all of this. All I remember is that Q is proportional to V with respect to capacitor. So all the things in everything that I've learned in capacitance, I didn't cram any formula. I just know only this equation plus the fact that I already know this relationship in what I've learned previously on electrical and electricity, right? And that's how we go proceed. So let me clear this off. Once we've done that, the next thing is to get energy. So they often talk about the energy stored in a capacitor. How do we find the energy stored in a capacitor? We know that energy stored or work is equal to power times time. Or the way I even prefer this relationship is work, sorry, power is the time rate of doing work. That was how I learned it in mechanics. That power is the time rate of doing work. I like automotives, I like automobiles, I like cars. So I just this is how I prefer to know it. But nonetheless, W is equal to PT is the same thing. They are equivalent to each other. So if that be the case, then it means that oh, I think I've made a mistake here. So, but in the end, I think something has to. There's an element of integration somewhere around there, and indeed there is. D W is equal to P dt. And recall that. Come, let me check my book. I solved this yesterday. Damn. What the hell? Don't mind me. You know, this is the exact reason why I don't bother cramming or memorizing, because I know I'm going to disappoint myself. My memory will just fail me. So really, indeed, this is the way it's exactly what I'm doing. Don't mind me. So from this relationship already, we get to this point here, and we can now integrate. But before we integrate, let's even further simplify this. So P, already we know that P is C V dV dt, right? And if that be the case, then we so we can now include this dt, right? So this O point here, this O point here represents P. So now we're including the T to it. So this would give us, this will cancel out this and give us the expression that dW will be equal to, okay, let me write it here. dW will be equal to CV dV. Now we can integrate, and we will integrate because we've eliminated dt. We can now integrate with respect to dv. So let me just clean this portion. So integrating, excuse me, dv, we have that the work or energy stored in a capacitor is equal to, now assuming that C is constant, we only need to integrate this. It becomes half CV square, right? That's it. So this is the formula for work. Some people might say, oh, it's easier to just take note of this whole expression or relationship or equation. Yes, it is. But for some of us, it's not that easy. And I'm a good example of that. So knowing how to tie everything together from this one equation here means a lot to me. Yeah. So once I can come from here, it's like a journey going through a part in my mind map, or whatever it is, to arriving at to getting everything. That's the approach that I used to learn. It requires work, it requires time, I know, but this is the way it works for me. So I hope someone will find this useful.